Along the path we parted ways. I walk the night, you tread the day, and we forgot we slept in knots all on the sunset coast. We shared our meals, we shared our songs, by candlelight or by the sun. I know you've sung 1,000 more since the time you've gone.
Hello everyone, this is Chad Redding here once again with Ruck Rabbit Outdoors, and we are, as you can see, back in the mountains. In our last episode of our Gimme Shelter series, we were down by the river along the Mason-Dixon Trail in Apollo County Park down in York County, Pennsylvania. We are still technically along the Mason-Dixon Trail. We are actually at the westernmost terminus of the Mason-Dixon Trail where it joins the AT. We're starting in a place called Whiskey Springs, which is where there's a bunch of springs off of Whiskey Springs Road. And we're actually kind of in a weird little area where Adams, York, where northern York, northern Adams, and Cumberland counties all kind of join. So we'll be actually traveling through all three of those counties, kind of starting in the York-Adams area. And we're still in the South Mountains, north of Michaud, north on the Appalachian Trail, north of Michaud State Forest. And the place we're going to be checking out today is called Alec Kennedy Shelter. It's actually a cool little shelter. I've actually stayed in this one. So out of the Gimme Shelter series, I have stayed at Tom's Run, and I've stayed here at Alec Kennedy. And it is about 2 weeks out from when we last did our episode, and that was in a snowstorm of all things. And this being South Central Pennsylvania, we actually had a shot of warm weather where it almost got into the 50s, and as you can see, there's still some snow left, but we had like 6 to 8 inches of snow, and it's already melted. Today it is I think in the 20s, so it's going to be a little chilly today. Yesterday it was high 30s. So this time of year our weather always waffles back and forth. Why? I don't know. That's just Pennsylvania. So let's go check out this new shelter today, and I'll bring you guys along. And oh, by the way, there are some really cool rock formations along the way. I'll be showing you those also as we go, and just any other highlights to see along the trail. So with that, let's go. As you can see, that is the Appalachian Trail. You can tell by the white blaze. See the white blaze there? And that is headed south. And we're gonna do that section one time. It's a really cool section. There's a place called Rocky Ridge, a lot of rock climbers go check out. And this here is Whiskey Springs. You can see the water coming out of the ground, which is really cool. And there are several different springs here. This is why they call it Whiskey Springs. There's one on the other side of the road. We're going to cross the road here. And there you guys can see the water basically just coming out of the ground. And it flows through this culvert here and under the road. So let's go over here. This is kind of a neat, interesting feature. And it's really cool that it's right here on the road. There are a lot of these springs in the South Mountain, especially when you get into Michaud State Forest, which is south of here. And there you can see where it comes out of the culvert, flows down, and continues down the mountain. So we're not going that way today. What we're going to actually do is we're going to go up the AT. But I'm going to show you guys quick. There's the blue blazes for the Mason-Dixon Trail. So this is the western terminus. And I'm going to show you guys the sign quick. So there you can see western terminus, Mason-Dixon Trail. So this is the end of the Mason-Dixon. I'm going to swing around here and we're going to go up the AT. So it says U.S. boundary, which basically this is Appalachian Trail land. And the AT goes up this set of steps up the mountain. You can see the white blaze there. So let's go. Make our way up here. I've hiked this many times. This is a cool area. It's neat because of the rock formations, and you can see we're already starting to get into them, but there's some really cool ones. Here, I'll give you guys a view there. Yeah. So we're going to be going through those. And like I said before in other videos, the Appalachian Trail here, a lot of the AT hikers call Pennsylvania Rocksylvania, and this is why. So this is indicative of most of the trail here through PA. And we're going to make our way up these rocks. We're going to hang a quick left here. So we're doing some light rock scrambling. And I enjoy trails like this, actually. So, all right. Now we're moving along. Flattens out a little bit here. We're on the ridge already. We're kind of on. Let's pan here so you guys can see. There's a mountain peak up there. Another one up there. And we're kind of on a ridge running up along the peak. So the AT through here isn't too bad. Just a little, like I said, just a little bit of light rock scrambling. This makes an interesting loop in this area. You can actually start here at Whiskey Springs, go up the AT, and then the AT actually drops down into a little town, which I'm going to do a video on. Not today anymore, but another time. Boiling Springs. You sensing a motif here with the word spring. There are a lot of springs up in this area. But yeah, Boiling Springs is a cool little town. Has an AT office. The Appalachian Trail actually goes through the AT there. And it's just a cool little picturesque Pennsylvania town. As you can see, there's just a lot of rocks. Just a cool little area. I'm going to be showing you guys that another time. We would do that today, but we just don't have the time to do that. As you can hear, there is a lot of wind today. I'm dressed plenty warm. Just really warm, just really windy today. On the mountain anyways. So yeah, we're going to be just passing through these rock formations. And then the trail will eventually climb up, drop off this ridge down into a valley area. And then we'll kind of get in an area that's like between the mountains. And the shelter is kind of on the side of a mountain. I've actually stayed at this shelter, so I think this is the first, other than Tom's Run, it's probably Tom's Run was the first shelter I stayed at in the video series. So yeah, more shots of the rocks. Like I said, we're on a ridge. There's a lot of these formations in this area, and it's because of the glaciers back in the day. There were a lot of glaciers that came down through here. And then another interesting piece of information. This area, like most of York County and a lot of areas in PA, honestly, in the late 1700s, early 1800s, was an iron furnace area. So there is a furnace that was along the Yellow Breeches down in Boiling Springs, and they mined iron ore out of this area. That's not why these rocks are jumbled, but that's how it was actually more kind of to the north east of this area. But they would build the furnace near water and near the iron deposits, so they didn't have to travel far to take it to be smelted down, to turn the ore into iron, basically. But yeah, cool area. But this mountain, there would have been a lot of, sorry, I'm just kind of taking things in. There would have been a lot of timbering and a lot of charcoal mounds. There would have been guys living on this mountain burning charcoal down for the furnace. And I found evidence of the charcoal beds up on White Rocks Trail, just slightly north of here. But yeah, it's just a cool, really neat area. And if you ever get up here or down here, depending on where you're located, definitely come visit it. Also, as a little side note, this area is known for weirdness. Actually, north of here on White Rocks Trail was where I had my encounter with something, and where I first met Tim and took me on the strange journey that is Strange Familiars. So yeah, I've have a little bit of a love for this area. Just always been a big part of my life. But anyways, okay, we're gonna make some time, and I'll bring you guys back when I see something really interesting, because we're just gonna be humping along the trail here for a little bit, and we'll show you guys the shelter and everything. We're moving along, and I came across some more of these really interesting rock formations. Let me show you guys this big one here. You can see just right along this ridge, huge. There's a cave-like formation over there, rock overhang. Let's go in the middle of this one. Now, people will ask, are there snakes in areas like this? Yes. There are rattlesnakes here in Pennsylvania, south central Pennsylvania, timber rattlers. This is really cool. I like this, stuff like this. You can see this tree, this one's dead. It's just basically, these trees are just breaking these rocks up. You really see that up on White Rocks Trail, which we're going to do another video now. I did one of that a long time ago. But you can just see how these trees are just growing up in the middle of these rocks. Cool looking mushrooms there. I don't know what kind they are. I am not one for mushrooms. I know a few, handful. You can see this particular tree is dead, but these trees are just growing amongst these rocks and they're just cracking them. When you get up on White Rocks Trail, like I said, you really see that because it's a different kind of rock. It's quartzite, which is a little more brittle than these. So we're gonna work our way along the AT a little more. But White Rocks Trail is interesting because it's basically like a stegosaurus back on the whole ridge. And it's all quartzite rocks, but we'll go back to that. I did do a video on that a long time ago, but I'd like to do something a little more detailed like this. And yeah, you hear a train horn. That is a train down in the valley. I'll just give you another good view of this edifice. It's really cool. Let's work along here. I'm not going as fast as I want to go, and that's because I just keep seeing cool things. Every time I come here, I find something new and interesting. Let's go check out this cave or rock overhang. First, we're going to go over here, though. So that was the one we were at. Now we're going to go to this one. And there's a split in this one, too. So Devil's Den in Gettysburg doesn't have the rights to all the rock formations, to cool rock formations. But you can see more trees just working these rocks loose. There's a good view of the split. I can go around here. There you go. That's down over the ridge. See another mountain there. And yeah, you hear an airplane. So we're technically off trail now. That doesn't matter. Now this is not a park that we're in right now, or a state forest. So you're gonna have different regs. This is actually state game land. So the Appalachian Trail goes through a lot of state game lands in Pennsylvania. And I can't recall the regs offhand, but whenever you're hiking, double check those regs. You have to stay within so many feet of the trail, and you can only stay one night. So you can't come out here and just hang out. We're going to back up here. But you can see this just continues along here. And we haven't even gotten to the shelter yet. I'm just fascinated by all this cool natural stuff. Well, I tell you what, that overhang really has some good cover if you needed to bed down somewhere, as long as there's no snakes in there. This time of year, you don't have to worry too much. Okay, so let's come in through here again. So we just basically went around the rock formation. Now we're going to come in on this side so you guys can see what I was looking at. Now we have some charcoal here. So that's probably remains of a fire. Probably somebody had a fire here. Actually, yeah, there you go. There's a fire pit. Somebody had made a fire here. But you can see that's the overhang. All that's natural. That stuff in the back, I don't know too much if that is all natural, if that wasn't put there by people. As you can see, people had a fire here. We're partying. Normally, that's pretty cool. Except take the England can with you guys. Other than that, it's all right. But yeah, it looks like some people had pushed some stuff there in the background. But whenever you have burning wood and all that, make sure it's not out here. Don't need forest fires. But cool little rock overhang. And little tidbit of history. Oh, real quick. You can see that these rocks are actually sedimentary. So this was under probably the ocean at one time. You can see all the little rocks in there. Quartz and other stuff. But these rock overhangs go into strange familiars here territory for a second again. Hermits. A lot of the hermits, especially itinerary hermits, meaning the hermits that traveled, they would stay in rock overhangs like this. And the nice thing is it blocks the wind. When you get it warm, when you get a fire going, the rocks will warm up and radiate the warmth back. Now, back to snakes. Timber rattlers. Yes, we have them here in Pennsylvania. Are there any on this mountain, or in these mountains? Yes. So, Michaud State Forest, which is the South Mountains, does have timber rattlers. There are some along here somewhere. I haven't myself seen any, but I know people have. And during this time of year, they go into what would be called a snake pit. So basically, they bundle up together in a big ball, a big snake ball, and they go into crevices and all that to stay warm. So the old timers, back in the days, when people killed snakes, because snakes were considered vermin back then, they didn't understand their ecological purpose. To them, they were something that needed to be eliminated. The old timers would find where these snakes lived. They'd find their dens in the winter, and they would dynamite the den. They would just blow the whole den up, thus killing a bunch of snakes in the process. And that's what they used to do. And some snakes survived, obviously, but there probably were more snakes than what there are now. Though they are making a good comeback, which is cool. I don't particularly like running into timber rattlers, but when I do, they're very beautiful animals, and I leave them be. As you can see, we're just working through these rocks. Maybe I should go back to that rock shelter and become the hermit of South Mountain. There you go. Okay, what's crazy is you'll find areas like this, and it looks like it was paved. Somebody put gravel down on purpose, but that's not what happened here. It's just a natural breakdown of the rocks. All right. Okay, we're going to make some time here. I'll bring you guys back. Okay. We're all but to the top of this ridge, or this mountain. And then this big beast is right here. That is the bones of the mountain sticking out. Really cool. You can see another mountain over there. Has a fire tower on top of it, or a communications tower. Just absolutely beautiful I didn't want to check it out, but I can't help myself. But really cool tree, literally growing out of the side of the mountain. You guys can see that there, just growing out of a crack, and I'm sure it's really working on it. Looks like there might be another little overhang, little hangout here. No, that one's really small. Yeah, eventually that will get bigger. Just cool terrain. Let's go around this side quick. What the heck? Let's see what's over here. Neat little promontory. And that's not high. It looks like it's like way up in the sky, but it's not. Sorry about the sun, but we're heading into the sun. Just neat view. I'll slow down here. I was panning real fast, but you can see it's just cool. I'll have to come up here when it snows again if we get any more snow. The temperatures are supposed to fluctuate really wildly. And then let's just kind of pan up here so you guys can see what's over our head. Just neat rock formations. It's just kind of cool looking. That tree there looks like what's left of a tree, looks like it's holding it up, but obviously it's not. But yeah. And I know I say this all the time, but this is why I do what I do. Absolutely why I do what I do. It's just really cool. We have got to the top of this mountain. And as you can see out through there, through the trees, that is looking northwest towards the Cumberland Valley. So that's towards Carlisle. Down around this area is Boiling Springs. You can see there's another mountain there. And as we pan over here towards kind of the southwest, that is the rest of the South Mountain Range. If you head that way, the AT will take you down into Adams County and Michaud State Forest. This here is Cumberland County. That's the Cumberland Valley, like I said. Mechanicsburg is kind of over that way along the mountain. This is this is the last giant rock formation I showed you guys. So we're leaving the rocks now. And that mountain, on the other side of that mountain there, and there's a tower on top of that, you can't see it from this view, is York County. So like I said, we're kind of in a weird little area where all these counties come together. It's kind of neat. So it's a liminal space. And what we're going to do is we're going to keep hiking here. And as you can see, everything's relatively flat. We're walking back to the trail. We went off trail here. We're back on the Appalachian Trail. And basically this will be flat like this for a little while. And then we're going to drop into another valley, cross an old Jeep road, climb up another mountain. We're on that for a short spurt. And then we drop down back into a valley again, cross a small stream, and then we'll be on the side of a mountain. And the shelter's up there on the Shelter Trail. And as you can see, the trail here is much smoother, relatively speaking. We still have all the famous, like I said before, Pennsylvania rocks. And the winds definitely died down up here. It was pretty breezy there on the ridge. It's not too bad now. So, all right, let's keep going. Let's make some miles here. So I'll check in with you guys when we hit the old Jeep road that comes down. And there's just if you look through the trees there, Just another view of the valley. In the summer, you'd never be able to see any of that because of the foliage. But it's still just a cool area. All right. Okay. So we descended the first mountain, crossed through the valley and the old Jeep road, and we're now on top of the other mountain. So that's the way we came. That's the Appalachian Trail. I just had something interesting happen. For what it's worth, it sounded like there was a loud bang, like somebody taking a baseball bat and hitting a tree. So that was a little disconcerting, interesting. So there has been Bigfoot sightings and phenomena up here, and I'm slightly south of where I had my encounter that started my whole, like I said before, my whole little trip into the paranormal. But I wanted to show you guys something. We're coming up to a campsite that's off the trail here, and we're going to be descending the mountain shortly. But what I want to show you guys, I had mentioned charcoal hearths, that this was iron furnace land, and there were charcoal hearths up here on these mountains. And I'm going to show you how to identify them. So if you look here, we're going to look at the ground here. I'm going to scrape away some of the leaves if I can. The ground's actually frozen. I use my foot instead. Well, here, let's go over here. You can actually see it. So right there on the Appalachian Trail, you can see the ground is rocky like it always is, and pretty much brown as you go over. So we're going to be coming into this campsite, and as you can see, there's a little berm there, and the ground is actually very, very, very flat here. And I don't know if you noticed yet, that's very dark, very black even, and it's all around like this. So we're inside the flat area. You can see the berm there. That is the fire ring from this campsite, and you can see there's charcoal and ash inside there. Let's walk around the whole circumference of this here. So there's the berm. You can see it goes all the way around. We're going to walk over here, and you can see it kind of goes down there, down the bank. So this was flattened out. So what this was an old charcoal hearth, and how you can tell is the flatness of it on the side of the hill. And as you can see, the ground is black, very dark, and what that is charcoal. Charcoal takes a very, very long time to disintegrate. So this was where they would chop the trees down, and they would stack them up on this hearth, on this flat area, and they would burn them down slowly. They would smolder them down into charcoal for the iron furnace down in Boiling Springs. And as you can see, and the guys that did that were called colliers, and they would be out here for months. So there probably was a collier shack somewhere along here originally. Obviously, we're not going to find it. So we're leaving the charcoal area here. But usually they slept in a shack near the hearth. And as you can see, it's all dark in there. And that is not ash or charcoal from the campfire. That is probably well over 100-year-old charcoal. This is new stuff here from the campfire. But all this out here is 100-plus-year-old charcoal. So people are camping here, and they probably don't even know what they're camping in. At one time, these trees weren't here. This land was probably barren all around here. and they would stack it, oh gosh, real high, and they would just smolder it down into charcoal for the herbs. It's part of the process of smelting the iron ore down into iron. And as you can see, this is a campsite. I haven't stayed here yet. I might actually do that sometime. Might be interesting. Maybe explore this area, see if I can find something. There might be a flat area or something that would show where the here's another good shot of the charcoal. It's just, you could really see it. The ground is frozen. That's why it looks all pockmarked. Where the collier's hut would have been. They were just primitive shelters that they lived in while they did this process. Somebody had eaten an orange here yesterday, so that's why you see orange peels. But yep, we're gonna head back down the trail here. We're almost there. We're gonna start descending into the valley. As you can see, we're going downhill now. I just thought I'd show you guys that. It's just really interesting to see that piece of history there. You can really see how level it is. And then the bank, and that bank is where they pulled the ground back to level it out. So it's really neat. So if you learn history of the area you're hiking in, and you pay attention to the way the ground is and the trees grow and all that, you'll find cool and interesting things like that. It's really neat. Pennsylvania has a lot of really neat history. All right, let's get down off this mountain and we'll show you guys Dogwood Run, and then we'll all but be at the shelter. And just a quick note, if you see that mountain there, right there, that's where we're going. So we'll drop in there and ascend the side of that, and that's where the shelter is. So, all right, let's get down here and move along gingerly. So, switchbacks down. We are descending. We're all but at the bottom here. You can see the ground flattens out a little bit. That little mountain there is where we're going to go up. If you hear a little tapping, that's a woodpecker pecking on a tree. This is what we descended. That up there, we came down through that. We're not quite down. And Little Dogwood Run is right down there. I'm going to take you guys down to that. One thing I wanted to mention. One thing about hiking on a trail like the AT that's well traveled, especially in the winter, is you get this, obviously. You get ice. So that is from people walking, and it compacted the snow and it refroze. So when you're descending a mountain like this, it is very important to watch your footing. Even though there isn't a lot of snow here, all them snow patches are slippery as crap. So I'm gingerly descending this mountain because I'm probably about 2 miles in, if not more, which doesn't seem like a lot, but as you can see, it's dead silent. I do have a little bit of phone service, but sometimes you have none in these valleys. And nobody is coming. So if I trip and I break my leg, I'm in a bad way. So I just wanted to mention that. So when you're descending trails like this, or even just walking, you got to watch out for ice patches like that in the wintertime. The upside is there's nobody here. I think I ran into one person, a gentleman and his dogs. 2 little dachshunds. They're really cute, very friendly. And I left him going ahead because I knew I was going to be videoing, and I didn't want to ruin his hike with me filming. So yeah, so we're all but down. As you can see, there's a big patch of ice. And down here at the base in the little valley, is Little Dogwood Run, which we are going to cross. And as you can see, there's another campsite over there. So let's go over, we'll check that one out. And we will cross the run. Creek, run, whatever you want to call it. Now this, once again, was another charcoal hearth. As you can see, the black, and you can see the berm here. With the rocks. So this was an old charcoal hearth being utilized as a campsite now. But all that darkness, that's all that blackness is charcoal. And I'm guessing, based on the way the trail looked, the AT looked there, a little bit of wind coming through, tree talking. Based on the way the AT is going up that mountain towards the other charcoal hearth, this was probably an old wagon road. And you can see the rocks. If you look up at the mountain, that's the way the rocks are, don't look the same. And they would just stack rocks and they would level it, and it doesn't look like much, but you got to remember, this stuff has shifted in 150 plus years. It's probably been 150 plus years since people did charcoal here, and you had to have a way to get it to the furnace. So they had these wagons that would haul iron ore and do charcoal and wood, and they were very narrow tracked. Nobody rode on the wagons. There would be a team of horses or oxen pulling them, and there would be a guy in the back. There would be a guy in the front steering and a guy in the back actually activating the brakes. So you could see, like, it looks relatively level up there going up. There's a slight drop. That probably was the old road that they traveled. And you can see how level this is here, and you see the berm. So like I said, this is another charcoal hearth. Over here is another campsite. Now this was not a charcoal hearth, probably. It might have been a collier's hut here at one time. Way back when. And you can see all the charcoal and stuff from the fire pit. But you can see it doesn't travel as far out from the fire pit as it does in the hearth. So I imagine, since there's water here, and the way the flatness that this looks, this might have been where there was a hut at one time. If I was going to set up a hut, it would be right here. And people, of course, are camping here now off the AT. But since there's a water source, it's along the main, which probably was the road. And I imagine the road probably followed this run out, because that would be the best way to get out. So you would have your hut there, and you'd be by the charcoal hearths, and that's probably was the old road. I don't know for sure. I don't have historical documentation to back this up, though I do know there were charcoal hearths here. That I do know. But if you got water and your hearth is here, why would you not have your hut near here? So let's go across Little Dogwood Run. Now, if you follow the run back a little ways, the spring as the source for the water at the shelter is back there. You could actually go up that way to the shelter, but we're going to use the approach trail. And like I showed you, the mountain is up that way. The shelter's up along there. It's actually kind of up there. But we're going to do the approach trail. And we got to get over this fallen log. There's a good shot of Little Dogwood Run. we're going to go across on this rock bridge, or whatever the heck you want to call it. And cross over. So there you go. Yeah. So since this is coming from a spring, which is up that way, you'll see that when we get to the shelter. I'll show you guys the spring. That's why the water here is not frozen. There are other creeks down in the valley, even bigger than this, that are frozen. And that's because this water is relatively warm. I say relatively, it's still cold. But it's coming out of the ground, so it's not as cold as the outside. I imagine when it gets further down, it starts to freeze. And now you can see here how the ground looks level there. And I guarantee you, the people who made the AT did not make that road. They did not go through all that road, all that work. But that is probably the old road. Yep, that's exactly what it is. So, that's the AT there, heading up the mountain. This is the old Collier Road. So this is where the wagons would come up to gather and you can see the berm over there, the berm on that side, and it's relatively level. So they would probably come up this way to gather iron ore and the charcoal that they needed. That's the other shot. Yeah, that is definitely man-made. You can see that it's relatively level. We'll walk up just a little bit up here. Yeah. Look how level that is. It's a trail too. There is a trail, but people didn't just build this trail to walk on. This was a road at one time. And you're thinking, well, it was rough, you know, but well, that's how these roads were. So yeah, and that follows the run. So imagine if I follow that out sometime, it'll go somewhere out towards where the pits were, because there are old iron pits down that way. I've been down there, near there. And this was all where the colliers were. So imagine the wagons would make their run. They might have even crossed here, for all I know. Or went up that way and they were loaded up. And they probably went up the mountain up that way to get loaded up from that hearth, or they brought it down to here. So, all right, let's head up the AT now. And I'll come back to you guys when we actually get to the approach trail for the shelter. So we're all but there. And I am going to have myself a nice warm cup of coffee. I need to rehydrate and drink some coffee. So we're definitely going to be doing that. Warm up a little bit, take a break. All right, I'll bring you guys back when we're there after we cross through all this rhododendron. You can see, looks like a bunch of animals have come through here. Oh, one more thing. When you are camping, in the wintertime especially, if you camp down in these hollows, it's actually colder. It's colder down in these little valleys than it is up on the mountain. You kind of want to be on the side, because that way cold air sinks and you're out of the wind, but you're still not down in the cold layer. So just a little couple little tips there thrown in with the history. All right, let's go. Let's get to the shelter trail. And here we are. As you can see, there's a double blue blaze, which means there's a trail change. And there's a little blue sign. And you see the white blazes. And like I've said in multiple videos, all the side trails that come off the AT are in that blue blaze. Strange familiar's blue, as Tim would like to say. So we are coming up to the shelter trail here. Sorry, I had to readjust the camera a little bit. You can see the sign. Now originally this sign had blue letters and it says shelter. And here you go. So there you go. That is the approach trail to the Alec Kennedy Shelter. And as you can see, the next shelter is Darlington Shelter, which is 18.2 miles away. It's actually across the Cumberland Valley and on top of the Blue Mountain Range. And the Tag Run Shelter, which is 8.2 miles away. Did I say? Okay. Darlington Shelter, 18.2. And Tag Run Shelter is 8.2. It sounded like I said Darlington Shelter was 8.2. Got my 8s mixed up. We have been at the Tag Run Shelter. That's also known as the I think it's the James Fry Shelter. And that's, we just came up that hill. The AT continues up the hill and drops down into another valley and crosses over there to that mountain, which is Center Point Knob, but we are not going that way. We're going to go up this here. All right, so let's start up this approach trail. Now, when I originally stayed here the first time, which was many years ago, a couple years ago now, I don't remember exactly how long ago, to be honest. It's been that long ago. I've been at this shelter multiple times, but I never stayed in it once. I came in from the other direction. I was southbound. I parked at White Rocks Trail, got on the AT at Center Point Knob, and came up here. It was January, so it was around this same time, more like the beginning of January. It's Groundhog Day today. And me and my buddies started out. It was cold, but there was no precipitation, except for by the time we got to this shelter, we had 8 inches of snow fall. So by the time we got here, there was 8 inches of snow on the ground, which was really cool. Looks like a tree fell. Old pine tree just cracked. So we'll have to pass under that. They'll probably cut that down eventually once it gets warmer. And this is a pretty long approach trail. I know I'm tired and I want to take a break and I want to use the shelter. These approach trails can seem pretty long. I'm a little excited right now because once I get up here, I'm going to be able to make some coffee. Could have done that any time, but I wanted to do it here. There's the valley we just came out of. Little Dogwood Run. That was the other mountain we came off of. So we switched back down off that and crossed over. And the double blaze means there's a trail change. So trail's slightly diving down here. Whoa, slipped. See? Need to be careful. And that wasn't ice. I actually slipped on some pine needles. So need to be a little careful.
I personally don't know why they didn't bring this, why they had this trail be so long. Could have traveled up the old Collier Trail, I think, and came up by the spring. We're actually backtracking a little bit, but that's just the way they routed it. Okay, I can actually see the shelter now. I'll get around this tree and then you guys can see it. The camera can see it. We come up on the back side of it. Oh, it looks like there's some kind of fencing up there. I don't know what that is. That's new. It's been, I think when I was up here last time was 2 years ago on the solstice hike with Tim and John, and it was dark. Always like this shelter. It's kind of a cool little place. Some people don't like it, but I do. Okay, there's the shelter. And we'll check out that fencing, see what's going on there. Might be making something new. They're always the people that are in charge of these shelters, and they're all volunteers for those who don't know. The Appalachian Trail is a federal park. It cannot be blocked. So if the AT runs through your land, there's a corridor, and it might just be on either side of the AT, but you can't block the AT. You can't block it and prevent people from hiking on the Appalachian Trail, which is good. Okay. There it is. Alec Kennedy Shelter. Now some people, you'll see it on some maps listed as the Alec, A-L-E-C, Alec Kennedy Shelter, and then you can see here it's actually the Alex Kennedy Shelter. So it's referred to by both names. Here on the back of the shelter, this is what they call a bear box. So basically you put your food in there at night or you hang it. It says hiker food, no trash, and it's basically a steel box with a metal hasp. You put that hasp on there, open it up. There's probably nothing inside. Let me lose my walking stick here. But just a bare steel box. And that's there to put your food in. And that keeps the animals out. And not just for bears, but also it's good for like raccoons and stuff down there. Yeah, they got some fencing down there. We'll go check that out here in a minute. So here, that goes down. There's a little trail that goes down to the spring. That's it there. We'll go check that out. There are pads down there. I wonder if they're leveling out the pads for tents. So that's pretty cool. The privy, the all-important bathroom, it's right up there. There's the sign. And here's a shot of the shelter itself. So it's not super big, but it's a little bigger than James H. Fry. There's a nice picnic table in the front. And what I like about this shelter is it actually has a fire pit relatively close, so you can get a little heat from it. Now this shelter is faced into the mountain. It's actually faced south. And the reason it's faced into the mountain is because the winds come across in the back of it. So that's one reason why they faced it this way into the mountain. So let's go inside. Make our way down. Somebody left a umbrella in there. So see, there's a step up. So this one actually sits up pretty high. Why would you leave an umbrella here? No clue. Somebody left a cooking grate on there. I wouldn't use it myself because gosh only knows where it's been. And you can see it has two raised bunk areas on the inside. There's one on that corner, one on this corner. There you go. Let the camera catch up. I don't know why somebody left an umbrella here. They probably just didn't want to carry it out. Now you can see it's all these different signs. And you can see now it said Alec Kennedy on the outside of the shelter. And here it's named as Alec Kennedy Shelter. So like I said, it goes by both names. All little pegs on the inside. They hang stuff. There's the bunk. So you could stack quite a bunch of people in here. You could really get some people in here. You can get one on the bunk, below the bunk, sleep on the floor space. I like this. There's a little shelf there with a backing so nothing falls out. People left their junk here again. Gloves. This canister's probably empty. Now there's some fuel in there. Looks like gloves and a hat. A book. When trail keepers get here, all this junk will be gone. Piece of quartz. There's a lot of quartz on this mountain. The shelter log book, which you can sign. It's probably inside there. Yep. We're not going to sign it, but it's there. And keep the fire rings beyond the shelter overhang. Don't put the fire in close. Just common sense stuff. Put out the campfires. Don't use the cooking stoves. Used under the metal hang or in the metal surfaces. Take your trash and garbage with you. Don't leave this junk here. Perfectly good umbrella and they left it here. And then this one is run by the Mountain Club of Maryland. And that's to keep your food in, to keep the animals out. And then there's all the emergency assistance numbers in case something bad happens here. An old sign of leave no trace. It's kind of cool. It's old and yellowed, but it's neat. Spotted lanternfly, which is definitely here now. And do not take all the firewood out because of the emerald ash borer. All right, let's go check out this fenced in area in the spring. Get down off the shelter. Let my eyes readjust. I'm gonna do another back up here so you guys can get another good view of the shelter. And the fire pit. Looks like somebody cut that big dead tree down to drag down for firewood. One problem when you get to these shelters, especially ones that are closer to roads. This one, not so much. All the close firewood will be definitely gone. So be prepared for that, okay? Be prepared, you'll have to process some firewood down. Carry a small saw with you. That's all you need, really. A small gomboy or a Baco saw. I know they're like, oh, don't carry extra weight. But this time of year you need to heat. Maybe not so much in the summer. So let's see what they're doing here. I'm curious. This is new. So this is pad 1. Personally, I wouldn't want to. That goes down the pad 1, I think. Like I said, this is relatively new. That's a new sign. Now it hasn't been here. Let's walk over there. Let's see what that is. I think that's probably a tent pad. Yep. Yep, that's a little tent pad for a tent. Or whatever shelter you're using. You can see they leveled out the ground. Put some fill ground in there. They probably have some up here. And all this stuff they bring in, they hump in. They're not driving ATVs in with this stuff. So just know that, you know, there's a ladder underneath the shelter for shelter maintenance, and they hump that in. So leave their tools where they are. So then there's 2 more pads down that direction. That's in case the shelter's full, or you don't want to use the shelter and you just want to use your tent or tarp. Let's see what this is over here. This is brand new. Reforestation area. Help restore natural plant life. Please stay on the trail. So I guess they thought this area was pretty rough, and they decided to fence it off. As you can see, it hasn't done very well. That's probably the deer. And then we're going to walk right over to the spring trail because it's right here. We're going to walk down to the spring. Yeah. So imagine a lot of people walk down through here. Looks like there's an old fire pit in there. So it probably was an old campsite, I imagine. And they're like, well, we provided the pads, so we're going to fence that in. It looks like they have 5 pads total, which is pretty cool. And they're like, we're going to fence that in so you guys, since we built these pads. So all of this is new, the signage and the pads. It might have been here when I was here in the dark, but obviously I didn't see that. So yeah, they want you to stay on the trails and try not to walk through the ground and kill all the blueberries and stuff like that. So the spring is down that way, which is where we're going next. Pads 1 through 3 is down there, and pads 4 through 5 is up that way. So if you don't want to use the shelter, or the shelter is full, one thing about shelters is they do attract mice and stuff like that. So yes, shelters are great, but you also have to understand that there might be mice and stuff. So you need to plan accordingly. Put your food in the food box. Don't keep food in your backpack or sleeping bag. They'll gnaw through it in a heartbeat. So we're going to check out the spring. Now if you hear cars on the other side of that mountain is Route 15, which is a major road. And the noise travels through these valleys, so that's why you're hearing cars. Even though there is a mountain, it's probably about a mile or so away. And if I remember, this was a little bit of a walk. Some springs are closer to shelter, some like this one are further down. This one is a ways down. The last time I was here at this shelter when I stayed and I got water, my hands were froze because it, like I said, it was December. And here you can see this is the old Collier path right here. So we could have walked literally up this from where we crossed. So when we go back, we'll probably go just down this way instead of going down that long approach trail. I think that goes to Camp Tuckahoe. But you could see it's a really cool access trail. And somebody decided to camp by the spring, which you really shouldn't do. Don't camp near the water. You got to stay away from the water. Springs over here. So there's another campsite down in this valley here. Springs over here. Now I'm sure it runs underneath these rocks. It comes out down here. Somewhere along here. Unless it's not dependable. It's down here. Right here it is. Yep. Let's get down here. There it is. You can see it seeping out of the ground. It's a little wet by those rocks there. Down here's where it's easier to get the water. But this runs right into Dogwood Run. Here you go. Right there. And you can see Dogwood Run. You could probably take the water right there out of Dogwood Run also. But that's the spring. Alright, let's head back up to the shelter. I left my walking stick up there. Hopefully nobody takes it. Originally it probably came out up here more. It looks like it's moved downstream underneath this. So I don't know if you dig into that, if you'll get more water. I'm sure. I don't blame them for... Let's see, here's what I'm talking about. Okay. So, if you camp, take your trash with you, guys. Leave no trace. Fire pits are not garbage cans. They had a fire, and you left their garbage. Take it with you. You packed it in. I mean... Pack it out. So yeah, the old Collier Road has orange blazes on it, so that's definitely what this was. I think that goes to Tuckahoe, like I said. I'd have to look at the maps, but it's definitely older than the Boy Scout camp. All right, let's head back up. I'll show you guys the privy, which is kind of cool. It's I know you're like, oh, another bathroom, but it's kind of neat, kind of the way they do it. Okay, so let's head up this trail, and I'll show you guys the privy. And then that is all the shelter, the whole area. All right, we are back up in the shelter area from the spring. I'm going to show you guys a preview. So they made some changes since I was last here. That water barrel was not there. So let's check that out. And this is really neat how they do this. And it looks like... Okay, so they use this. Like I said, this wasn't here before, and it's pretty neat how they came up with this. So this might be something you guys who live off grid might want to consider. It says, tension hikers. The water collected in this rain barrel is used in composting of the waste in the privy. This is not drinking water. So yeah, you don't want to drink this. Plus there's human waste underneath there. So, let me show you this privy. It's pretty cool. And it's just neat how they came up with this. How this works. And like I said, this is a good example for off-grid living. Let's jump around here so you guys get a kind of a view of it. There's a privy. Has a ramp that goes to it. The shelter's down there. There's a trail that comes to the privy. And it looks like somebody threw garbage or noodles underneath there. And I know I'm like, look at this garbage. And it's because it saddens me. Guys, it really saddens me. Because, you know, this is put in, like that little cool handle. This is put in for us to use for free. And people trash it. So, it has a weighted door, which is neat. And this is what's called a moldering privy. Decomposes solid waste using air circulation to encourage the growth of soil microorganisms that do the work of compensation. It is okay to pee in this privy. The moisture aids in decomposition. The composted material will be recycled in the forest, so please do not put plastics, glass, metals, clothing, or garbage in the privy. After use, just add 1 handful of shavings. More than that, waste shavings and slows the decomposition process. Close toilet seat lead after use. And that's what the water is for. They use it to wet it down. And I think this is a double. No, this was a double header. Yeah, now it's a single header. So I think what they do is they use one side and then they switch it over to the other side. And the metal barrel just holds the metal shavings, or the wooden shavings, I mean. And they also would store the wood shavings in there. And this is all maintained by volunteers of the Mountain Club of Maryland. So, and then you can see it's a weighted door. I think it's sand in there. Sand or rocks or something. Which is really cool. It's got windows. I mean, for an AT privy, this is like a palace. It really is. And then I guess they store cleaning supplies and stuff. These are all the volunteers whose labor helped build the new moldering privy. So, and you can see it's got railings all along it. So that, you know, they really put some thought and effort into this place to hang stuff, to hang your coat or something. You can see this door wants to keep closing. I'll let it close. So basically when you do your business, it falls right on the ground. And that's what the water is for, in case there's not enough pee to help decompose it. And I know, like I keep saying, people are like, why are you showing bathrooms? It's because it's important. It really is. It's a nice luxury to have in the woods. That is a luxury. And it's a good example for those who do off-grid living, how to deal with human waste, because that is something that is important. So we're going to go back down here into the shelter. And I'm going to make some coffee. Maybe talk to you guys a little bit, give you some more channel updates of what's going on. And that's a view of the top of the mountain. That's literally roll but there. And, you know, just we're in the middle of nowhere. as nowhere can be in south central Pennsylvania. I mean, we're, you know, some people be like, that's not true wilderness. Well, yeah. But we're still kind of off grid here. So, but yeah, I'm going to make some coffee, warm up a little bit, rehydrate, and maybe eat a little bit of something. And I'll give you guys a channel update on what's coming. You know, we definitely have been real active, and that's what we want. Okay. Ah, I lost some. That's not good. That hits the spot. Nothing like a good cup of hot coffee in the woods. For some reason, being out here makes everything taste better. So, what do we have planned? I already mentioned a little bit in the Charlie Irvine shelter video that we're going to be doing more campouts. We've actually filmed our first campout video. If you haven't seen that, check that out. That is Piney Mountain. We're actually car camping in Michaud State Forest. And it was a fun trip. It was cold. Actually, it was about the same temperature as it is right now. And there was snow on the ground. And I used a new tarp. You're going to be seeing more camping videos. We're going to be doing them. I'm actually probably going to shoot one this month in February. If not, definitely in March. We might have something else special coming up. I'm currently working, like I said, with the new technology. I'm still learning the learning curve for the other special thing I got coming this year, which is I'm really excited for. It's something I've been wanting to do for the last 2 to 3 years. And it just never happened, but now we have the technology. I just got to learn how to use it. I am not the most technological guy in the world, believe it or not. Axes and knives and stuff like that, yes. Technology and computers, not so much. But yeah, we are going to be doing, like I said, more camping videos. You saw in that a new piece of gear I got, a canvas tarp. We're going to be doing more camping with that, different pitches. We did a Palau Point cold camp on this last trip. My plan is to do another pitch with an actual fire overnight. That's the plan. We'll see. We're going to actually try and backpack in on that trip versus car camping. We're also going to be doing some shelter camping. We're going to I'd like to come back here again. It's been a while, especially with the improvements. So I'll probably come to Alec Kennedy, whether that's by myself or with some of my friends that you have saw on the camping video. We're definitely going to be hitting the shelters down by the river. So we're going to return to the Mason-Dixon Trail. I do want to do a camp out in them shelters, whether it's Apollo Park or the one down by Lock 12. So those are coming. We're going to be having more videos. We're also going to be launching a website. So that is also in the works. I want to get an actual website for Ruck Rabbit Outdoors. We're going to be doing more things with Strange Familiars and Timothy Renner. He just released a new book. If you haven't checked it out yet, it's about hermits. It's really cool, really interesting. And those people are just how they lived like in places like this by themselves is amazing how they did it. So check that book out. It's 3 years of research he put into it. And it's chock full of drawings and pictures. So you actually get to see what these people look like, which is kind of neat. So, and they're real people with real stories, real interesting stories. We're also going to be traveling. We're going to actually appear April, I think it's 26th, up at the Pennsylvania Lumber Museum up in Potter County. We're going to be selling wool and the handmade knives that my friend Tom TD Cusack makes. We'll also have some axes on hand. So if you're up in the area or passing through Potter County, stop at the Lumber Museum, the Pennsylvania Lumber Museum near Gallatin in Potter County. Like I said, on April 29th, or 26th, sorry. It's their not their lumber bark peeler festival, but it's their antique show. So we will be there just on Saturday, actually vending. So check us out there. And we have other gatherings that we're going to be appearing in. So in the fall, there's going to be a lot of them. Paw Paw Festival in York County. We'll be there again. It was rainy, but we were there. We also will probably be at the Gather thing, which is the weekend after Labor Day down in West Virginia, Hinton, West Virginia. So we'll be attending that. That was a blast. That was really cool. If you haven't ever gone to any of the bushcraft gatherings, go to the Gather thing. It is so cool. It is so fun. We will be there. I think Dave Canterbury showed up. Who else was there? A friend of mine, Dakota, from Dakota Outfitters. He was there. Also, or somebody else. I know his name. I can't think of it offhand. It'll come to me. But there were a lot of big names down there for that show. So check that out. That was a really, really good show. And so get a ticket. Come on down. For me, it was literally a 5-hour drive, but it was well worth it. So come on down. Come say hi. Check it out if you're in the area. It was just a blast. So, yep, that's what we got. And more coming. More coming. So, with that, I'm going to finish my coffee. And I'm going to get out of here. It has been a pleasure. Thank you for coming on this trip with me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm trying to cut them down. I know some of my videos are pretty long. But, you know, it's just, there's a lot to share with you guys. A lot to show you guys out here in the wilds of PA. Oh, we are also going to be going out of Pennsylvania. There are some places we're going to be going to. I don't know. I have 2 or 3 planned. I don't know what yet. But we'll see if we can pull that off. Want to travel out of PA. We do travel out of PA, but I want to show some of the places that are outside of PA. Some of the shelters and other places. But check us out. Check us out at Rock Rabbit Outdoors. We don't have a .com yet, but check us out on Instagram and Facebook. Make sure if you like what you've seen, you like and subscribe. And keep checking us out. We're going to be dropping videos pretty regularly. My goal is to get out at least 2 videos a month. At the very least 1 video, but I want to do 2 videos a month. So I'm trying to have a quick turnaround. And like I said, we have, like I've already explained to you, we have a lot coming up. So be sure to keep an eye on us. You know, I will let you guys know when the website drops. Keep an eye on the Instagram and the Facebook accounts. That will be where you'll see things first, especially when the website drops. So until next time, fair weather and safe journeys, and get out and see these places. If you're not one who likes the cold like I do, when it warms out, come see it. I might actually see you out here on the trail. So, till next time, fair weather and safe journeys.
It is you've flown away, my friend. I think on you today. I hope sometimes you sing my songs all on the sunset.